First set, first leg, it's Roberts who through first. Game on.
Experienced referee Paul Hinks gets the first game of the first ever World Seniors Darts Championship underway. It is Robert Thornton of Scotland against England's Bob Anderson, the limestone cowboy. I know as well for you, Paul Nicholson, when the draw came out, you were like a kid in a sweet shop wanting to commentate on this match, because these are two players that have really influenced your career, aren't they?
Yeah, very much so. My first
40.
PDC ranking final was against Robert Thornton back in 2008, and that was a year where Bob Anderson won here in this building in a tournament called the League of Legends. So that year has a bit of symmetry about it, but for me to commentate for this man right here, the 1988 world champion, it's a dream come true for me, and it's a dream come true for Robert to play him in this tournament.
Well, for many of the players, we're not sure what kind of performances they'll put in yet, but Robert Thornton has been producing good stuff over the course of the last couple of years since he fell off tour. Many darts fans will have seen him at the online league where he won a stage there. Of course, won a major tournament as recently as 2015 when he won the World Grand Prix,
55. Robert
beating Michael Van Gerwen in the final. He had a 161 in that tournament the year before the same event to finish a 9-dart leg. He's not going to take it out in the first leg of this one.
There's a lot of people in this tournament who are trying to elongate their career for just maybe a year, 2, maybe 3 years, but Robert Thornton has got a lot left in the tank, and at second in the bookies list of favourites behind the great Philip Taylor. I think a lot of people fancy Thornton to get through this half of the draw, which does involve the power.
80.
Double 18 missed by the Thorn. Anderson celebrating that previous visit. Just trying to get the crowd on his side a little bit, I think, the limestone cowboy. It's not his first rodeo, is it, Paul?
21.
No, it isn't. A little bit of early nerves for Bob, and Robert's got to take advantage of this. Nice marker for double 18. He's got 2 markers now.
No score.
And somehow he finds the gap underneath that first dot, and he can't believe it didn't go in.
Still a long way behind Anderson in this opening leg of the opening set. Best of 5 in legs and sets.
100.
Did you see that grimace from Bob Anderson? As if to say, right, you know where the 60 is now. Double 18 is found for Thornton to take the first leg, and he gets the settler. But now Anderson has to respond in this game, which is, as our graphic tells you, first to 3 sets. It is traditional World Championship first round play. Best of 5 legs per set, first to 3 sets.
81.
Yeah, and indeed, if any of the matches do reach a deciding set, there will be a little bit of overtime. You have to win by 2 clear legs
41.
until the point of 5 legs each, at which time there would be a sudden death leg. But Robert Thornton, despite being the non-world champion on stage from this pair, is a big favourite to win this match, and it's kind of showed in the opening leg.
Very much so.
100.
Bossed the scoring phase of that leg. You do get the feeling that the only way is up for Bob. But Thornton hits back and finds the first maximum of the tournament and gets the crowd on side himself.
Well, it will be roughly 500 miles from Ayrshire for Robert Thornton. I'm not sure he's walked them, but he did have all the crowd on their feet after that maximum.
100.
54 years of age, not just a World Grand Prix winner, also a winner of the UK Open and World Masters, 3 times a Premier League of Darts participant.
83.
But will this be the tournament in which Robert Thornton can call himself a world champion for the very first time?
He will be hoping so. But deep down in his gut, Murph, he still believes he can be a world champion in a lot of other arenas as well as this. Bob, at 74 years of
86.
age, would dearly love to add this to his tally, which is an esteemed tally at that. I think our MC Paul Starr mentioned 3 times a World Master, and he won them all in 3 years, at a time where he was the best player on the planet, for my opinion.
What can he do with this 1-3-4? Thornton on a rather handy 63. Anderson looking for the treble 20. Going that route meant he needed 2 trebles, couldn't find one. Thornton will return. He may look at treble 13.
Robert requires 63.
I think he will. You'll see a lot of traditional finishing here this evening. Single 13. And it's tops for Thornton. Do not leave Robert Thornton on that double. One of the best double top shooters of the last 25 years. And he takes a 2-0 lead in the first set.
Thornton on tops and on top at the start of this inaugural World Seniors Darts Championship. And here he goes again.
One of the ladies.
That call from Paul Hinks signifies the second 180 of the contest. And Thornton is sprinting towards the finishing line in set number 1, but there will be resistance from the Limestone Cowboy from Clevedon
100.
in the west of England.
Well, you mentioned that 1988 World Championship win for Bob Anderson.
46.
Number 1 in the charts back then, Paul, was heaven is a place on earth. Robert Thornton's giving him hell here.
And this is Thornton right now. Narrowly missed out on getting a tour card at PDC qualifying school very recently, but here comes Anderson. We want the finger out! And we nearly got it.
140.
They gave it a stare. He can't believe it's not in. And if you are under any illusions as to whether these players are taking it seriously, just look at Bob Anderson's reaction there. He wanted that. Robert Thornton sensibly switching down to the 25 segment to leave a finish. What a way to finish the opening set it would be.
He knows how to finish tournaments and matches with a bit of a bang. But this time he doesn't have to take this out. But to please this crowd, if he gets the 60s, well, he hasn't got them now. Just a nice, tidy, small number like 70 would be very handy.
60.
He has to rely on hitting a treble next time.
Well, now's the time to pile in the first maximum. Not far from that treble 20. Maybe should have switched. Blocked it a little bit. Determined to stay there here. Could be risky business. Oh, he's found it.
Robert, you require 100.
Surgical from Bob Anderson to find that treble. But he's in trouble here. Thornton needs 10 for tops for the first set.
90.
Misses it this time. And it's a question of will he be back now, because Anderson with that magical 60 with the last dart gives himself a chance of staying in this first set.
Could have been an opening set sweep for the Scotsman, but now Bob Anderson needs treble 20, needs double 18, takes his time, takes aim, and fires it in. Bob Anderson is in this match, he's in this set. Robert Thornton had a dart for it, but the Limestone Cowboy has pulled out a ton-topping checkout to get his first leg on the board at the World Seniors Darts Championship, and it was a breaker throw.
That's a massive thing, because if he can hold here, he takes us to the limit in set 1, and you don't want to be losing sets from 2-0 up. Robert knows that. He's played in many a World Championship before, in fact, but he's never got past a quarter-final. But he has found 3 maximums in this first set, Murph.
Yeah, it's a very strong performance so far from Robert Thornton. He's actually averaging mid-90s in the early part of this match. Anderson in the low 80s, but certainly growing into the game.
Absolutely. First leg was all about just a bit of nerves, and no matter how much experience you've got, and I think this is what this tournament is all about. It's yes, about what they've done previously, but the World Senior Darts Championship is about what they can do now. And we are starting to learn about Bob Anderson and what he's doing growing into this game.
Having a G up. Bob Anderson. Come on, come on, come on. And in goes the last dart once again. Twice now we've seen him really seem to block that bed, but find a passage past. Thornton opting to switch. He's going for the treble 17 there, but only managed to score 2. This set
82
could be under some duress.
Some last dart there from Thornton. I really thought he was going to go 19s. because the single would have left him on something like 220, but Anderson gets a ton.
Are you happy with those levels? Yeah, cool.
And this set is very much in the balance at this point.
Really intriguing, interesting start to this
99.
inaugural tournament.
108.
You've still got it. So Bob Anderson, just to confirm, the score called here by the referee Paul Hinks was 108 required for Anderson.
Yes, Thornton's on 80. Bob's got one away. That's a slip, but that leaves 95. Still possible with 2 darts, and he goes south and gets the treble. Double 19 for 2-2 in the first set. This is going to bring this crowd to their feet. They all wait patiently. They don't have to wait anymore. But now Thornton can close it out in set 1 with the equivalent of 2 tops.
May even go for 2 tops. Opted against it. Now needs to build towards it, and there's all sorts of obstructions in the way. Robert Thornton knows this is a tricky dart,
41.
and it proved to be too tricky for the Thorn. And Bob Anderson proving to be a thorn in his side.
If you're going for the single 3 here, just don't pull it to the left. And he doesn't. It's double 8 for 2-2 in the first set. Patience from the 74-year-old. Shouldn't be awkward, and he says, come on, Bobby. Not close enough. And Thornton
39.
should be taking this out now. 39 for the set.
7 for double 16.
7 scored.
And he's missed more opportunities. Well, feeling the pressure, the pair of them. Bob Anderson looking for double 8 once again.
I can feel the stress in the crowd. Double 4 for the Limestone Cowboy. That is a heck of a guide. Oh, and he didn't need it. It's 2-2 in the first set. It's a bit nervy. But Robert now, after missing all those set darts, Murph, who's the favourite?
Darting drama. Robert Thornton looking to bat it away. And that's how he does it. 4 maximums already from the Scotsman, flying at the start of this match. But what is it that Bobby George will say several times, I'm sure, over the course of this weekend? 180s for show, it's doubles for dough.
They're both players getting their darts to land very upright in the board. And don't forget that Robert Thornton has had success on this stage previously in 2009. He's got more success here, and we've never had a 9-darter at the Circus Tavern in any tournament here, but we could have one in the next minute and a half.
Well, this is incredible. This would be absolutely sensational. In the opening set of the opening match of the first ever World Seniors Darts Championship, Robert Thornton has kicked off back-to-back 180s and wants 141 for the 9. Too much to ask.
87.
We're not going to get a 10 either, but he does get a round of applause for that effort.
It's 5 180s from Robert Thornton in this opening set. And it's 2-2. But surely, Paul, surely he can't lose it from here.
He's not going to lose it from here, Murph.
85.
I'm going to stick my neck out.
54.
I think he's going to hit tops after he gets the single 14 here.
He's done the first bit. Misses tops. Misses
14.
tops again. Anderson a long, long way behind, and Robert Thornton, well, it might be troubling him a little bit. Squandering darts at double, left, right and centre, and particularly that one that he usually finds with aplomb.
Yeah, that's not a good sign for later. He's got to get rid of this quickly to fluff his own confidence. Tops it is. Misses for a 3rd time. But he doesn't miss for a 4th time. And he wins the first set by 3 legs to 2. In which was maybe a longer set than everybody expected after the first 2 legs were taken by the Scotsman.
Yeah, loads and loads of missed darts at double from the Thorn. He could have won it 3-0. He missed a dart to do so. Anderson hit back, but in the end Robert Thornton edged it, leaving his opponent in his trail really. Anderson was trotting in on the horse and Thornton was speeding away in an F1 car in that deciding leg.
What is it about horse puns that are following Bob
86.
Anderson around this week? He's never going to be forgetting about that incident back in the early 90s where, yes, there was a very tall animal in this room.
Well, there were unfounded rumours of a pantomime horse preceding Bob Anderson to the stage this evening. We will have the pantomime villain up next. Peter Manley taking on Dieter Hedman in the second match of the evening. We've also got Tony O'Shea facing Kevin Painter, and then Darryl Fitton against the man who will be a very popular local qualifier in Richie Howson. Will the owl make them howl?
Yeah, the owl, Richie Howson, can walk here. And I'm not talking about a long walk.
100.
It's a walk that maybe takes 30 minutes. Talk about home advantage. But Robert Thornton, who only passed his driving test a little bit later in life, is now behind the wheel of a very reliable motor that he adores. It's like his right-hand man. But his biggest supporter in life, his wife Christine, has not been well for the last few years. But I guarantee you, she'll be cheering him on tonight as Bob Anderson teases us once again with a possible, what did he call it in his interview with Helen? Something to do with pointing the finger at the board.
Yeah, I know it's a favourite celebration of yours, the old
26.
finger sling from Bob Anderson.
141.
Might see, should he take out the 141, which of course Robert Thornton was hoping to do for, well, I was going to call it history, but would never have seen anything like that so early in a new tournament.
Yeah, when it comes to 9 darters on a televised stage, Robert Thornton just hits 161s, of course. And he needed a double to start that leg. That was against James Wade some years ago, where they both hit them in the same match.
There really was history. And Bob Anderson may soon be history in this tournament if Thornton carries on finding trebles with such regularity. 101 needed. He's already had 1 ton topping check out. 82 remaining. Gets the bullseye. So double 16 here for Anderson. Oh, he's pulled it.
Went the more difficult route as well, getting the bullseye for double 16. There's the 7. Where does he go here? He went for the bullseye as well, which again is the more difficult option. Should have gone the Peter Manley route there, Murph. Should have gone tops for the bull. More surface area on the board for the final shot.
25.
Well, options here. 9 for double 8, the conventional wisdom, and that's the way that Anderson goes. This time taking a little bit more time. Did seem to rush, I think, that dart at double 16 in the previous visit.
9 scores.
This time he's careful, but
68.
not close, or not close enough at least.
Treble 20 for double 4, and look at that, right in the middle. 2 4s it is, and that is in there for the lead in set 2. Thornton imposing himself in the early portion of the set. Can he do exactly what he did in set 1 by taking a 2-0 lead? There will be a comfort break after set 2.
125.
Well, he is looking strong, Robert Thornton. And he could have found himself behind in this match, we know that, but that last leg of the opening set was just sensational from the Thorn. He's averaging 94 and change. Well, that would be a competitive performance in any tournament.
I have to agree.
100.
He's been playing at a very high level over the last 12 months, Robert. A lot of live league play with the likes of Richie Burnett and Kevin Burness, who was qualified for this tournament, but he got himself a tour card, so he subsequently was ineligible to play in this tournament and was replaced by Dave Prince, who will take on Paul Lim tomorrow.
Yeah, both those players you mentioned, Burnett and Burness, would have been on the stage here at the Circus Tavern. Darts, of course, are sports where age is no barrier. In fact, 25% of the Premier League field are of the age of seniors darts, including the current world champion.
I can tell you from a playing perspective just how surreal it can be growing up watching someone and then having the chance
49.
to still play them. That doesn't happen in every sport. You don't get players nowadays in football coming through at the age of 16, 17 saying, oh, I wish I'd played against Ryan Giggs.
85.
Well, I got the chance to play against Philip Taylor and all of these guys that I watched when I was growing up, and potentially some of these guys can play into their mid-70s, which is where Bob is.
Yeah, it's legend after legend. Anderson, the second oldest participant in the tournament, behind John Lowe, a man who, of course, played in the very first World Championship final.
41.
Incredible back in 1978. It's 96, the number in front of Thornton here. Treble 20.
Yeah, 96 was a good year for Phil Taylor, wasn't it? That's when he got his 4th World Championship on this stage. He would, of course, go on to win 16.
And the power is in action this weekend. Favourite for the title will play the winner of the match coming next between Manley and Hedman. Winner of this one will take on 10-time world champion Trina Gulliver in the second round, and it's looking increasingly like it will be Robert Thornton, who leads now by 2 legs.
Game on.
In the second set, having won the first in a decider. Remember, a race to 3 sets and a race to 3 legs in each of those sets.
Just when Bob was getting back into this game, Thornton started strongly in leg 5 of set 1. And he has kept that consistency going with that average that you talked about, which is over 90. He's having little setbacks here and there.
64.
He's able to fix them, especially like that one where he picks up 64 after getting the 4 with the first 2 darts.
Yeah, and after he just berated himself and scratched his head a little bit there, Robert Thornton, probably thinking, what is it about 2-0 as a scoreline? They say in football, don't they, it's a dangerous one. Maybe Thornton's feeling the pinch.
If in doubt, just whack in another max.
123.
Maybe not feeling the pinch, but more packing a punch this evening, Robert Thornton.
On this stage, Robert Thornton has made a final before in the very first Players' Championship finals in 2009, where he lost to Phil Taylor. But Bob Anderson has had success here too in getting to the semi-finals of the PDC World Championship in 04 and 05. It was a somewhat big renaissance for him at the time, but here comes Thornton again. He is bossing the scoring stakes in this match.
I've got a feeling I know where this is going, Paul, and I may lead you there, because you have to be a good player to reach a final on this stage, don't you? You've got to be a good player to win on this stage. You know much about that?
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I am
89.
privileged to sit alongside the Players' Championship finals winner here at the Circus Tavern. In fact, the only man to deny Phil Taylor an appearance in the final at this venue. Quite remarkable statistic. Phil Taylor played in every World Championship final here at the Circus Tavern.
Only figured that out a couple of days ago. I feel very proud to be the only person to have denied him a final under this roof. So that record is subsequent
95.
to what happens here.
160.
Robert Thornton is looking to mimic Bob Anderson from set 1, who took a 116, but it's difficult. Blocked bed, 60 needed. Doesn't get it. So Anderson can stay in the set here if he can find 60 and double 19, or the equivalent of, with a double at the end.
What has he got? Can he make a nuisance of himself once again in a set that Thornton has dominated? Treble 18 now the target. It's beyond him, so the Scotsman will return.
39.
Looking at double 8 to open up a 2-set lead.
Game shot on the
And
second set.
that is exactly what he does. Robert Thornton.
There's more in the tank here, but he's going to have to find 3 straight sets against Thornton, which is going to be a tough ask when he's averaging over 94 this contest. A very steady performance from the Thorn, and I think he just wants to get this done as soon as possible.
And he's come out with purpose. 140 to put him on that 3-6-1 after his first 3 darts, but Bob Anderson equally threatening something special. Come on, he says.
123.
And not quite the result he was after. Just get the feeling that every time he's pumped himself up a little bit, Paul, then that's affected the next start. We're maybe just trying to keep calm and carry on would be the order of the day.
That's not Bob's style, though. If you look at the way he was playing in the mid to late 80s, he was the personification of aggressive darts. He had that scowl looking at the board and periods of finishing within the game that were unsurpassed, even by the great John Lowe and the great Eric Bristow and players like Dave Whitcomb and, say, Jockey Wilson. but
100.
Anderson is who he is. He's not going to change. And with a lot of chatter about modern day darts and aggressive players, this guy was a pioneer.
Yeah, he was a world number 1 in that era. World Master in 86, 87 and 88, of course. The World Championship in that final year as well that I mentioned. Thornton can't finish after that first dart went astray. So Anderson still in with a chance, but not on a finish himself.
Yeah, you don't want to be left on a bogey number of 168, especially when your opponent's on 42. Pressure can be applied. Just checking with our referee there. That's the benefit of having the ref. He can tell you what you've scored and what you've got left. But what he can't tell you, Murph, is how to get it.
This is the way that Robert Thornton opts for. He opts for tops.
Game shot on the first leg.
And he gets tops, as he so often does. And Bob Anderson just had a little look of resignation on his face there. It looks like the game is getting away from him. That scare he gave the Scotsman in the opening set seems a distant memory now. And Bob Anderson really does have work to do. Paul, it looks like we're going to see Robert Thornton advance. From what you've seen of him so far, is he one of the main contenders for this title?
Even before this game began, I saw him as one of the people to beat. You look at this section of the draw with the likes of Phil Taylor in there, Kevin Painter's in there, not discounting Tony O'Shea either. You will see both of those tonight. But it's a very strong half.
97.
When you look at the bottom half as well, there's a lot of people think Lisa Ashton's going to do some damage down there.
Yeah, one of 3 women in the field, Ashton Gulliver, who plays the winner of this, and Dieter Hedman coming up next as Robert Thornton rattles in yet another maximum.
I had a chat with Robert a little bit earlier this evening. He was in jovial fettle, just chewing the fat about what's happening in his world right now. And we stumbled upon the fact that,
121.
and I hasten to say this, Murph, he thinks he got married in the year that Bob Anderson became world champion. He wasn't too sure.
91.
Christine, if you are watching and he is wrong, please forgive him.
Yeah, forgive him, because I put him under a lot of pressure right there, Christine.
But he's left the big fish, Robert Thornton. He's produced some wonderful stuff. He's
94.
threatened to produce some magical stuff on the dartboard here this evening. Can he reel this in? Oh, the bullseye. But he wasn't far away. He made a splash.
Did you see that little creep of a smile there from Thornton? He really fancied that, and so did I. But this will be some way to get yourself back in the set. Choose your section, Bob. There are plenty to choose from. He goes traditional. A lot of people in the modern game like the treble 18s there. The Rob Cross route.
100.
It's the layup for tops.
25.
But there's a sneaky suspicion that he might not be back. 17 for double 4.
Game shot on
Doesn't mind you there either.
Robert Thornton.
And Robert Thornton is edging ever closer to the second round at the World Seniors Darts Championship, where Trina Gulliver waits. The 8 players have had a bye straight through to the second round. Gulliver one of those. Robert Thornton, well, he's having to work to get there, but boy, is he doing a good job.
I think Bob's saying, do you want to hit a few more 180s, by the way? He has been bagging 180s left, right and centre since the first leg of the contest. Now, these 2 have played in 38 World Championships. That is incredible. But like I said a little bit earlier, Murph, yes, we're going to talk about what they've done in previous years, but it's about what they can do now. And obviously Thornton, like Bobby George said with Ray Stubbs, he just seems to be at a high level right now.
85.
Great last start again from Bob, but he's needing plenty of mistakes from the Thorn if he stands any hope.
There's 7 maximums from the Thorn, 5 of them coming
125.
in the opening set, 2 of them coming in the last leg of that opening set.
You've asked me a few questions already, Murph. I'll ask you one. Is this a message to the rest of the field? As if to say, this is how well you got to play if you want to beat
59.
me.
I think a lot of them will take it that way, whether it's Robert's intention or not. I think a lot of them will see, okay, this is the standard, is it? And those that were sat down in the practice room may now be stood up at the end of an hockey.
96.
They can hear this. They can see this. There will be monitors in the practice room. A very comfortable practice room, I may add as well. But it's tops for Thornton. Doesn't matter what Bob does. Come on, give us a 180. And he's given it. There it is. We wanted to see it. And it might be the last dart of his contest.
An iconic image at the Circus Tavern. The Limestone Cowboy, all smiles. Take a bow, says Robert Thornton. But what a moment that is. Bob Anderson rolling back the years. A parting shot. It is, because Robert Thornton on top has completed the job. It is a 3-0 win for the Scotsman.